turn the hips, we flick out, right? And we're going to try and shelve the legs here and work up the body to pass. All right. So the difference here, when I would go for the smash pass, tends to be when the top leg's higher than the bottom. You can see I can fold and get him in, this leg being higher than this, right? If his far leg's higher and I fold, it's not exactly a proper smash pass position. Okay. So, and it's hard for me to take this leg past the bottom leg. So what I'm looking to do in this case, as I turn the legs, is I want to flick outside the legs and immediately, and so he might be hooking, often he's hooking my leg, just like this one, with your other leg. Just like, yeah, something to make it like somewhat harder to flick off. So to flick off, you've got to turn your foot out, sometimes extend, right? Knee pointing in, foot pointing out. It's hard for him to keep that. Okay, so we go here like this, right, straightening my leg, lift my foot in the air, and then just immediatee foot hooks behind. But I definitely don't want to just move to the side, especially at this point. Okay, if I try and move to side control, his knee's still past my shin. So as I go to move, he's probably going to pull that knee back in front of me here. Okay, what I want to do is pass the knee line. So I want to go here, kick. Once I've flicked my foot out, I kick under the knee and scoop the knee up with my knee. Okay. Even here, I don't want to pass to the side yet, but I'm looking a lot better now because it's hard for him to put his shin in front of my body. Okay. But a classic mistake here, I get to this point, I've done all this work. Of course, Aaron's pushing my shoulder. He doesn't want me to climb up the body. When I start moving towards side control, I start giving space for that leg. Okay. So instead of moving around this way, what we want to do is try to stack and shelve. I want to step right underneath here and start lifting his hips. If he's trying to push and make space now, that's difficult. And as slowly, even with he's framing my shoulder and arm pretty well, I can start leaning and working towards a near side underhook. Yeah, I'm starting to climb my right arm up while I've got that pressure on him and he can't move his hips. Okay. Once this is high, I feel a lot safer now. If he tries, I just basically put my hand on the mat. If he goes to hip out or push me, I'm going to land inside, try and block his hip escape. I've got a much higher chest-to-chest connection. So it allows, by stacking, it allows me to go from lower than the hips. You see here, I'm lower than his hips. So if I start trying to pass around, his hips can start to free. Okay. To being, I start shelving. See how I'm starting to move higher than his hips, and my arms can start climbing higher. And now that I'm here, if I block next to his hips and he goes to hip escape, I'll pass. From looking from here, so I flick outside the legs, I'm going to scoop underneath his knee line. You see I want to move higher up by shelving the leg on my own leg and pulling his other leg in. He's trying to block my arm, but I can start walking my hand on the mat and climbing up as a near side underhook. Now that I'm up on his upper body a bit more, I've got space to move into to pass. a lot of time, you know, you're going to struggle to turn the hips. Just Aaron's just adamant at being on his left hip, and I'm trying to walk and I'm trying to turn him, and it's just difficult. Even doing this. Obviously, if my legs do a great job and I can torque his knee, that will be good. But sometimes he's too much on his side to actually get the torque that way. I'm almost always, when he's really adamant at being on this side, I'm going to change now to shin flick over the top. Okay, this will actually help me turn his knee at first. I'm going to try and turn his knee still. Now I'm going to use the fact that my shins, like I didn't have anything well connected to his ankle. Now I've hooked his ankle, I can start forcing his knee in, just kind of leaning to my side here, possibly even passing. If I can do this is excellent. To really turn the hips. This will be into essentially a smash pass. You often won't get that second part, but just the first part of doing this will let you then continue with some of the normal over-under passes. So again, Aaron is adamant at being on his side, okay, and I'm trying to turn his hips. I can't. I'm going to shin flick. Now that I've got his ankle with my foot, I can turn his knee and begin that movement. Or even better, I'll do this and I manage to hook my knee deep and kind of turk his leg here. Then he's on his side and his leg's very high. He's kind of straightened out. This is usually like he's trying to back roll, right? So here, even if I do this, there's no way I'm turning his knee, right? So what he's done here is, by lifting his leg high, very hard to walk it this way. He's given me an avenue underneath. Okay, so I'll go here, drop my knee, flick my other foot under, use that as a hook to lift, reach my arm underneath, and move to the single underhook. So again, this leg's extended, he's trying to roll back. So it's hard to walk his leg. I'm going to flick here behind the shin, put my knee in, and it's very hard. If I'm pinching my knee, it's hard for him to stop me doing this now. Obviously, I am at risk of a triangle, but not while my knee stops his leg coming out. Okay, so I can't get triangled. I can now take my hand underneath, lift this like a hook into my arm, shuck it on my shoulder. I come up in the single underhooks and go to pass from there. All right, we'll look at the dog bar now. So again, we're kind of staying low on the hips first off. So this time I want to, Aaron's on his side, he's trying to stay on his side, and I want to flick out, but he is bending his leg. He will not let me straighten his leg. Okay? If I can straighten his leg, very hard to stop me. I just keep my knee pressuring his calf, leg straight, hard to stop this happening. So what does he do? He curls his leg, and I can't flick out of this. Okay, but because his leg's bent now, it's a bit of a lever for me to turn. Okay, but sometimes you get stuck, even just like this, almost like at this point here where he's almost stepped on the ground, and when I try and walk him to the side more, right, his foot's on the ground, it's hard to turn him, or maybe he's just adamant at continually hipping out. So when we square up here, I'm just going to slide my shin down and try and get his knee facing the roof. Okay, so I want to keep his knee facing the roof. I've got my, so I want to be down at the ankle with my shin and closer to my knee on the shin. I want my hips right over the top of his knee. My second leg can triangle, even better if it goes underneath. I'll talk about that in a moment. And I can hip in and finish. Okay? And as long as he can't turn back on his side, if he can turn back to his left, okay, this doesn't work. This doesn't put any pressure on the leg. But if I can use, for example, my right knee at first to stop him turning, okay, and my weight being very much leaning this way. So see, I'm leaning into his leg. When he tries to turn on his side, he's stuck. I can drop my hips in. Okay? Now make sure your foot's close to the ankle. Not so much my ankle tracking. If it's my ankle here, this is very loose. You can move much better if it's closer to my knee. As I do this, make sure your other knee connects here. Or even stronger probably is if you happen to switch feet, both feet coming in like this. As long as you can hip in and they can't turn, then you're going to have a lot of pressure. So the idea of this is that your ankle blocks their foot from touching, your leg, I should say, like closer to the knee, maybe the ankle, whatever. Blocks their foot or heel from touching the ground, and your hips are coming in, hyperextending the knee here like this.